There were 6 people there. I think 4 of them were actual executives at the company and 2 of them were interns working for the executives at the company. We would be limited to 15 minutes and that has to be enough time to do the entire pitch and then also answer questions about our pitch when it's done. So I was very important to get it down from 8 to 10 minutes. What's up everybody, it's Johnny2000 and today we have a little special video. You read the caption right, I'm here to talk about my time at Nickelodeon. I just want to clarify that this was a remote position. I wasn't really in office around the work culture, so I can't really attest to that, but as a 2000s nostalgia YouTuber, I really thought it would be fun to tell you guys about how that played out. As you know, I like to talk about 2000s content, teen and cartoons, but something that I've always wanted to do is be a TV writer. I want to write my own teen sitcoms. Currently I do my own musicals, but basically I moved to LA to be able to work in the TV industry. Ideally on a show similar to like Hannah Montana, iCarly, some of my favorites. That's why I have so much fun breaking them down for you guys. So in 2022, I signed up for this program called the Content Accelerator that Nickelodeon was having. So at the time, I was making a lot of TV pilots, a half-hour spec scripts based on already existing shows, and then a couple I did for fun, based on my own fun ideas. This contest, the Content Accelerator, was basically giving an opportunity for people that aren't already working in the industry to share their ideas with Nickelodeon and perhaps take their show to the next level. I really wanted to do this because they announced it like 2 weeks before the actual deadline, and I'm a very quick writer and I do everything very quick, so I was excited to have the opportunity, knowing that a lot of people probably wouldn't apply for this because they wouldn't feel ready. There was the live action and the animated route. I was able to do a pitch deck for the live action route about my own premise for a show, which was going to be about this trio of friends all at this middle school that create a fake profile online and make a catfish that becomes popular, and they essentially become the most popular kids at school via this false account. So after I sent in my submission, I didn't expect super much, but 2 or 3 weeks later I got an email that said, congratulations, you made it into like the top 10 or a finalist or something. So they had me schedule a meeting with 6 of the executives. So basically I would be pitching them my pitch deck, but this time I would be presenting it to them myself. And I was super excited because I wanted to make the changes and I got to meet all the executives. So for 2 weeks I worked really hard, I practiced my pitch, I tried to get all the kinks out of the story, and I was super excited to the possibility of having my own show on Nickelodeon. When we finally hit pitch day, I got to get into a Zoom call. There were 6 people there. I think 4 of them were actual executives at the company, and 2 of them were interns working for the executives at the company. Point is, there was like a lot of people, and it was very nerve-wracking. They warned me in the email that it would be a simple process and not to worry about it too much, that they weren't expecting perfection. Thank God, because I'm not perfect. We would be limited to 15 minutes, and that has to be enough time to do the entire pitch and then also answer questions about our pitch when it's done. So I was very important to get it down from 8 to 10 minutes. As somebody who cares a lot about a story, I felt it was really just as important to leave stuff out that would drive them to be curious about the later stories in the project. But I was essentially pitching it as like this Hannah Montana meets iCarly double life, you know, technology hybrid show. So I pitched to the 6 people and I got it in under 8 minutes. I had to answer a lot of questions about the story of the pitch. Waited another 2 weeks and found out that I was actually not going to be considered for the live action or the animation route, and that they wanted to make my project a TV movie. At first, I was nervous. I'm like, that means I'm not creating a show. I've always wanted to create pilots. I've always wanted to create TV, like long-form series. But the fact that I gave them a movie idea was beyond me. It was definitely out of my comfort zone. I waited a couple more weeks, and I was actually given a contract. The contract was a preliminary development deal, which meant I would be working with Nickelodeon on pitching this show to the higher-up executives. So if it got approved, it would go into development and everything would be great. And now finally I'm getting a return on my investment as a writer. So I signed my contract and it was just so surreal. I was up every night reading about, you know, the business and a lot more of the legal aspects of all of this before I got in too deep. At the time, I'm still a male babysitter, so I was telling my family, and of course they were excited for me too. I feel like everything I learned from babysitting and working with kids at younger generations, like, I was excited to tell a story that I felt like could represent them. And this was like always been my dream. I got sent like a care package of like a Nickelodeon chess set. I got this little laptop case, never got a laptop case before, and a SpongeBob themed I Love LA bag. Oh gosh, guys, this was like the most exciting thing ever. It also made me think as a writer that like, oh, okay, maybe I'm taking myself so seriously. Like, whatever I put out in the world is always gonna be subject to be rewritten or fixed to whatever somebody wants. So I tried to make it a lot more kid-friendly. I tried to narrow it down for the audiences we were going for. So of course I accepted it to be a TV movie because I'm literally this 25-year-old. Of course I'm not gonna go up against Nickelodeon for this. And they informed me that I was going to be pitching again in a month. But this time I'm going to be paired off with 2 of the executives in the development team to make sure my pitch works well. So I set off with 2 of the executives at Nickelodeon that I won't name because I don't want to call them out because I like them so much. We met up every week or 2 weeks or something to finalize the project I already pitched to them and make it a little bit more refined. It actually fit to the format of a TV movie instead of a TV show. I had a lot of fun taking a lot of my personal life and putting it into the pitch deck using my own personal pictures. Like, I used a picture of my town, I told them about my middle school, I created this fictional version of the world I currently already live, because for me that's important. That's the best part of a TV show, is when you're immersed in the writer's perspective of how they see the world. And I was very specific about that. The 2 executives that helped me were super supportive, and they ran through it with me multiple times, and we got up to 3 or 4 drafts when we realized it was in a good spot to actually start pitching to the higher up executives. So if the higher up executives were to take this pitch, we would finally go to a full development deal. The show would essentially be worked on further. I was super excited about this idea, so I didn't need to practice too much. I just really had to have the beginning, middle, and end clarified, know the characters' goals and where they would end up, and then how this would fit into 90 minutes. And I was super excited about that part. But I was super nervous, because this is like the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So right before I was about to do this final pitch to Nickelodeon, the writer's strike happened. Yeah, so I had my final version of the pitch, but I couldn't give it to them because if I were to give it to them, I would be crossing the picket line of the Writers Guild and never be able to become a member, which is really sad, especially for somebody who never got a writing gig ever. So I had to resign from pitching to them and actually step back for what would end up being like 8 months. So it was definitely not an ideal time. I thought my life was over. I worked so hard to get this contract. I finally got the first writing gig of my life at Nickelodeon, and then suddenly everything is crashing down. And as you know, even in retrospect, that was a big deal. Like, they were greenlighting so many things right before that, and then the strike came along and then everything went silent. I ended up pitching to them 6-8 months later, and turns out, like, the night before, I did a pitch with the executives and it really felt like they weren't feeling it, and the idea was actually becoming a little uninspired, or I don't know, there's something off about the pitch. And when I showed a couple of my friends, it definitely had to do with the format it was presented in. It felt like I was making an entire treatment of everything that was going on in the show and so much words on the PowerPoints. So overnight, I actually redid the entire pitch deck and presented something completely new to the executives. It was the same exact pitch, but all the words were taken out and just pictures of me and my world were on the page. Then after my final pitch, I felt really great, and I was just so convinced it would go to the next step. So then after a while, I didn't get a no, but I didn't get a yes quite yet. So I was in flux for quite some time, where they said that they would reconsider my pitch. So for about 6 months, I was just kind of sitting there waiting. I'm really hoping that they liked my pitch deck, everything I sent them, and hopefully me. I used this 6 months to essentially try to get an agent, do whatever it took to get into the industry, be like, hey, this is an accolade. Like, I've never, you know, been a professional writer before, but this is my first professional step into writing, so please hire me. And I tried to leverage this Nickelodeon deal with as many people as I could, but it didn't ultimately work out as easily as I had hoped. In the end, Nickelodeon decided to take a pass on it, and that meant I could shop it out to around to other networks. So if they didn't pick it up, I had an opportunity to let other people pick it up. So it's no surprise that in the end, I would tell you guys it did not work out. It wasn't meant to be. So after that 15-minute pitch was successful and I felt really good about myself, it was exciting. I still got to bring all the energy I wanted for it, and I actually did a pitch that I was like, of course they're gonna take this. And if they were producing stuff at the time, I bet they definitely would have, but it just wasn't working. I also learned a lot about the idea when it came to that long period of time, that maybe this idea was promoting catfishing a little too much. There's a little too much positive outcomes that come with the technology I'm talking about. So the main point of my story was starting to get a little bit blurry. It was never really made a lot of projects that I'm super proud of and happy to be out in the atmosphere before Nickelodeon necessarily came along. And I was so lucky for my opportunity there, and I had such a good time, and it was an even better thrust into my career as I started to talk to development executives on my own representing my project. So now that Nickelodeon chose to pass on it, I was able to pitch it. So in the end, the project didn't really work out, but it's led to a lot of great connections to executives around LA, and I'm super excited to show them some of my other projects I've been pitching since. So overall, this was such a great experience, and I loved my time with Nickelodeon. And even though I wasn't there on the lot, I definitely got the spirit of them caring about what they were going to produce for kids. And I've come to terms with that. As long as I could tell stories that are positive, mental health related, that maybe I would have a good time doing this in any capacity. So I've taken a break from writing some of my pilots and starting to work on this YouTube channel so I could actually spread the messages I think are necessary for kids media today. I still work on pitches and I love to write for fun, but in the meantime, I'm not really going to pursue anything in the industry because of how hard it's been job-wise, and I really prefer the seasoned veterans of LA get jobs before they get me a job, I guess. I mean, it sounds like I'm quitting, which I kind of am. You know, I don't really want to work or wait for somebody else. I want to develop my own musicals. I want to create mental health comedies. And, you know, I think I can give myself the green light before any other executive can. And I don't need to sit around and be paid back for it. And that really put life into perspective for me, because we always grew up dreaming that this would be the ultimate job and everything would be great once you get that exact position. But it reminded me that I've been in this exact position of everything I've dreamed multiple times. When you get a camera, when you write a script, that is you putting something out into the world. Whether there's an executive, a company that's talking about it or not, it's there, you know, and in 200 years, somebody might find that document, somebody might find this, and they'll be told a story. So whenever you tell a story, it's gonna get to somebody somewhere somehow, whether it's just through you talking, or whether it's just through an actual television show, or it's from a YouTube channel. It's not about just making a TV show and making people laugh, it's about communicating to other people. And when you learn that you could do that as a teacher, you could do that as a babysitter, you can be this entertainment person for anybody you meet, as long as you know what you're talking about and you have a passion for it. And that's why I've entered this new era of my life where I get to tell stories on all of my own accounts. And currently I'm telling stories through my musicals. I like to write these 40-minute to 1-hour musicals that I want high schools to take to actually be like their own little sitcom. Like, because with all these reboots and everything going on, it seems like the TV route isn't as unique and original as it used to be. The positives of the TV industry all across the country. Sitcoms need to not only be a thing of the past, but a growing up feeling heard by all these TV shows that were joking about things we have gone through was just life-changing for everybody my age. And I think if we could bring that magic and that dream alive in high schools or earlier for people to develop history, and if we can make audiences all across the world feel the magic of sitting for a live sitcom, their sense of voice, and actually, you know, have an audience laugh back at you, you don't have to wait till you're going to a Nickelodeon or a Cartoon Network to get that voice. You could get that voice just by joining something in your community, or putting on a play, or even just having a fun conversation. Like, what is it about writing? What is it about storytelling that you really want to get out there? And I think that is the message of all of this. And I definitely think you guys will have your own specific journey, and whether it's like a theater, a film, like somebody just recognizing that you're, whether it's writing, producing, video, I am going to find new ways to tell my story, and I don't care what medium it's going to be. But I really did have a fun time at Nickelodeon, and I was excited to share my experience. Because imagine if you guys knew that at 26 you could go to Nickelodeon and sell them a show. I really hope you try. You know, like, that would be such a cool experience. And I feel like young people are the ones who deserve to get into the industry. The Seth MacFarlanes everywhere. You guys gotta get out there and shoot for the skies so that way you can actually see where you want to be in your life. It's Johnny 2000, and thank you guys so much for listening to my rant, and I had such a fun time telling a story. Have a great day, and don't forget to subscribe to Johnny 2000.